You're live.
Hi, I'm Ben Clark. I'm CEO of Ann Clark Limited. I'm here with my mom, Ann Clark, who is the founder and namesake of Ann Clark Limited. And today we're going to be making pancakes with our new pancake mix. Mom?
Hi, everybody. I'm Ann Clark. You all probably know me from my cookie cutters. And last year we decided to add some new food lines to our cutters. And my son, who's going to be the chef today, is going to show you how to make our delicious pancakes from our pancake mix and also our waffle mix. So stay tuned.
Okay. Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome.
Okay, so today we're going to start with our buttermilk pancake mix. I'm going to do a double batch today. So I've measured out 2 cups of the pancake mix. We're going to use, how much is this? 4 tablespoons of our butter will go in. And now we're going to do 2 eggs. Not great at this, but hey, we're making great pancakes. Now we're going to stir it. We don't want to over stir it. I'm using just a simpler spatula that you find in the kitchen. Let me turn on the griddle. And then we add 2 cups of water. Sometimes we'll add a little bit more water. Dave Chase, who invented this for us, he's our production manager and makes maple syrup. He likes a little bit more water. I'm going to see how it comes out. I think I like mine a little bit thicker, so we'll see what happens. Might even need my glasses for this so they can actually see what I'm doing. Oh, yeah. We started our business was with cookie cutters, which are effectively dessert. And as we talked about dessert, the concept of pancakes and waffles came up. So Dave Chase, who's our production manager, makes maple syrup every spring here in Vermont. Usually happens in March. He also makes honey, but that's another conversation. So Dave talked about Vermont maple syrup is the best in the world, and we put it on pancakes. Why don't we make a great pancake? As we started sampling pancakes we found at the grocery store, they really weren't that good. So Dave went on a mission to make the best pancakes we could find, and this is what we think we've come up with. And we have tested a number of pancakes to come up with this. As we like to call it, maple syrup, and this is Dave's maple syrup, which you're going to see a little bit later, all made in Vermont. We like to refer to this as liquid gold. We use it a lot in our cooking. We put it on pancakes and waffles, salmon, ice cream, yogurt, etc. We wanted to make a pancake that was good enough to justify Vermont maple syrup because this is phenomenal. Okay, so I've mixed my pancakes. I didn't over mix. You want to still leave it a little bit clumpy. Oop, where's my spray? I've got my grill up to 375. I'm now going to hit it with some cooking spray. Okay. I use the same scoop. Neatness does not count. Okay. Now we're going to let these cook. It's probably going to be a couple of minutes, and we're waiting for the bubbles to form on top, and that's an indication that it's time to flip. You know, it's interesting when Dave was developing this recipe, we started down the process of how much is it going to cost, and let's get the most inexpensive materials, etc. And what we found was that great food comes from great raw materials. So as we were looking at, the flours, the sugars, the vanillins, etc., we didn't look at cost. We said, let's simply find the best flour for pancakes. Let's find the best sugar for pancakes. Let's find the best ingredients to get there. And we think we've come up with something that's just a phenomenal pancake. If I'm going to have pancakes for breakfast, why not have the best? Why sacrifice? And that's why we've come up with this. Okay, getting a couple little bubbles, still not ready for flipping. So we're using the finest ingredients we can find. We're making all of this in the US. 22 years ago when I joined the company, we started making our cookie cutters. And our belief at that point was we should make everything in the United States. Since then, we've stayed with that, and everything we sell, everything we put our name on is made in the United States, with the exception of parchment paper, because parchment paper is actually not made in the United States. So we buy parchment paper from France and repackage it into our own product. So again, this is all made locally. We're quite excited about it. Are we ready? Not quite. Still waiting for the bubbles to form. Should be another minute or so. Dessert should be fun. Dessert should taste amazing, it should look amazing, and it should be fun to do. When we looked at pancakes and waffles, it's kind of like having dessert for breakfast. It should taste phenomenal, it should look great, it should taste great, and it should be fun to do. This should not be a stressful, complicated thing. Pancakes are about bringing the family together, and let's have a phenomenal, we're going to have dessert for breakfast, and it's going to be fantastic. Couple bubbles forming, not quite there yet. I think about pancakes now. My girls have both, one is off to college and one is out of college and moved across the country. Pancakes would be something we'll have when they come home because it's going to be a special morning. We're going to sit around and drink coffee. We're going to have a big pancake breakfast. We're going to enjoy our time together. We're going to get to eat a whole bunch of Vermont maple syrup, which is spectacular. It's interesting, I ran into a couple from Boston the other day. They were up looking at the leaves. We're just at the end of foliage season here. And we started talking about maple syrup and explaining. I said, do you know where it comes from? Do you know how it's made? They didn't explain that. And they got hung up, is it fancy? Is it dark? Is it number? Is it A? Is it B? Is it amber? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, to me, it's just make it maple syrup taste great. Yes, there's a difference between the different grades of maple syrup. I don't think you have to get hung up in that. Just have great maple syrup and you're going to really enjoy it. We are almost ready. Just a couple more bubbles I'd like to appear. Again, they're pancakes, so they're not that complicated. If this was a complicated thing to make, I wouldn't be doing this because I am not a chef. I know how to make cookie cutters, but I don't cook very often. Back to maple syrup. We also use it a lot in cooking. My wife makes a fantastic salmon dish where it's salmon, maple syrup on top, bake that, unbelievable. Pretty much always put it on ice cream because it's delicious. In the afternoon, if we're making coffee, a little maple syrup in the coffee is spectacular. In the evening, it goes great in cocktails. It's a natural sweetener. For those of you who don't know how do they make maple syrup, oop, hang on, we've got bubbles, so we're going to do a quick flip here. All right. Very complicated. Did you see that? And I just used your basic spatula. We're using a Gur spatula today because I think they're amazing. So maple syrup, every spring, usually in March, we have cold nights and warm days, and the sap comes from the roots and goes up the tree. So they drill holes in the sides of the tree, 2 or 3 holes per tree, and as the sap is running up the tree, it will run out. And the sap basically looks like water. If you taste it, and I've had gallons of it, it tastes like a sweet water. Goes into a bucket. They then take that and boil it. And for every 40 gallons of sap, you get 1 gallon of syrup. So if you drive around Vermont in the spring, you'll see all these sugar houses with steam pouring out the top. They're just boiling the sap as fast as they can because it'll boil down to syrup. The difference in the grades depends on when in the season it happens and how long they cooked it. So the more you boil it, you can make it a little darker. If you don't boil it a lot, it'll be a little bit lighter. And then there's also slightly different versions if it's early in the season or late in the season. I'm not that much of an aficionado. I do just love maple syrup. It's one of the great things about Vermont. Okay, let's see if these puppies are ready. I'm gonna go just another minute. This is gonna be good. One of the benefits of this thing is, you see these cooking shows and everybody makes the food. I'm actually gonna eat the pancakes, which are gonna be amazing. Oh yeah, I think these are ready. So I'm going to put them right on the plate like so. Okay. I'm going to push the griddle out of the way. If we can. The way I like my pancakes, I like a little butter on top, not a lot. And I'll take a little bit